Today's episode of the Goldcast is sponsored by the ups and downs of this incredible Western Conference Finals. Because it is incredible. We do have to appreciate the fact that both teams are playing super hard. But having said that, screw the Rockets. I'm so pissed that we lost Game 4. Oh, we had it in our hands. We're going to talk all about it. Game 3 as well. We did say on this Goldcast, Warriors in 6. But sometimes being right scares the living crap out of you. Now, Raymond, before we get started, why don't you let them know where can they find us?
You can like us on Facebook.com/The Goldcast. You can also follow us on Twitter @The Goldcast_. You can also follow us on Instagram @The Goldcast. You can also subscribe to us via iTunes, YouTube, and Stitcher, all under the same moniker, people of The Goldcast. Like, subscribe, comment. We love to hear from you, and we always encourage it. The Rockets totally got away with one tonight.
They really did. They really did. So we're gonna talk about it. We're going to go through because we haven't spoken since I want to say the series was split. I'm not sure. We talked last Sunday. I don't remember when the last game was before that. Anyways, it doesn't matter. We're back again with a hot Goldcast to step 2. Here we go. Goldcast. But before we get started, Goldcast intro. Let's get busy. Let's go.
San Francisco, are you ready? This is the Goldcast.
Boom! Welcome to another edition of the Goldcast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
Boom! Oh, God damn it, we have a series on our hands. We really do. Game 3. Let's go back in time. Game 3, the Steph Curry game. Everyone's, what's wrong with Steph? Something's not wrong with Steph. The shots aren't landing. Maybe he's still pretty hurt. And he has that third quarter fury. He just goes off. And it's pretty incredible. And I'm feeling pretty confident as a Golden State Warriors fan. Dub Nation is feeling pretty confident. We can pull this off. We got this. So let's talk a little bit about, Ray, what are your feelings going into Game 4? And then we're going to talk about Game 4. Game 3, incredible. Huge win. Totally fantastic. I'm jumping up and down. We didn't do a Goldcast because we knew we had Tuesday coming right up. So we're like, let's just wait. Let's do the Goldcast after Game 4 so then we can recap and hopefully bask in a 3-1 lead, which did not happen. As we had accurately predicted on the Goldcast, we said Warriors in 6. So, Raymond, I want to talk about your feelings going into Game 4 today. How did you feel going in?
Well, I knew it'd be a close game. It just seemed like immediately into the starting of the fourth quarter, the Warriors were just completely gassed. And the unit that was in there couldn't hold the lead at all. Sean Livingston got into foul trouble. Jordan Bell was getting, run off the floor, run off the layups. And Chris Paul was hitting shots. So the defense just wasn't there. And so I felt like Kerr had to bring in our guys a little bit earlier than he wanted to, because normally the unit will stay in there. Then Curry and company come in around, like, they start to trickle in. And then Curry comes in about the 6-minute mark, but he came in before that. But it was just too little too late by then. They were playing catch up, and the Warriors, they're not as sound when they're not beating you sensibly into the fourth. If it's a close game, any team's got a chance, regardless of whether you're Golden State or somebody else. So I just think I thought that they would win. I thought that they would take a 3-1 lead into Houston, drop the first one in Houston, and then win the final game. But now they have to win back-to-back games. So you cannot force a game 7. You force a game 7. I still think I still like the Warriors' chances in a game 7, but at this point, the Warriors need to stop this win one, lose one crap, because that's not how you do it. You need to start to turn it up here and flip the switch and get a string of back-to-back wins to really build some momentum. Every time you do that, you lose momentum and give the other team fuel when you do this back and forth crap. But I mean, it's the postseason, so on one end, it's kind of like it's kind of nice to see competition, but it's nerve-wracking as a fan. I think I speak for a lot of fans, you included, when I say that.
It's definitely nerve-wracking for us, no question. The rest of the NBA world, who are we kidding? Everybody hates our guts right now. We're like the New England Patriots of basketball, and so yeah. But we don't care about those other fans. We only care about what's here, Dub Nation, 49er faithful, whatever we call SF Giants fans. So that's all we care about. So yeah, I was pretty confident going in. We did predict a close game. We thought between 3 and maybe 10 points. We definitely both agreed there would not be a blowout. I for sure, God, I thought we had this game. And I'll tell you what I thought I was going to open the Goldcast with today. This is what I thought I was going to open the Goldcast today. It was that moment in the fourth quarter, or the first quarter, when James frickin' Harden hesitated on that 3. You remember that? Right in the first quarter? Like 5
oh my
minutes
God,
into the
that
game,
was
gets
like,
a wide
I was
open
like,
3
wow,
against Draymond.
he's I was like, wow, he's choking so hard. And he did. He played great. He didn't play
Straight
great in the
up.
fourth. He only had 4 or 5 points in the second half altogether. So he had a strong first half, but it took him a whole quarter to wake up. But even then, I don't think he was all that great. He's lucky Chris Paul had a good game, because Chris Paul's in the same boat of choking.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Hey, guess what? Congratulations, Chris Paul. Congratulations for the first time you've not choked. Awesome. I hope you're happy. Well done. So definitely frustrated. And I thought when Harden didn't want to take that 3, I was like, oh, wow. You just straight bitched out. Look at that. You don't want this. Houston don't want this. It's not their time. They don't want this. It's not their time. And then they give up the lead in the second quarter. And, I'm frustrated, but I'm still thinking, wait, but we got that wonderful Golden State Warriors third quarter coming up, that one. And then Steph goes off, and he goes those back-to-back 3s, and I'm thinking, this is it. It's over. It's over. Houston don't want this. It's not their time. And then what happens? We go from that to the fourth quarter, and before you know it, Houston kind of stays in. They stay in, and then they get back into the game. And I want to talk about this right away. I want to know why at 11 seconds left, when the Warriors rebound the ball, defensive rebound, why don't they call a timeout there? And why, when the ball, they get down, like Clay's like, I think he's like just outside the paint, and he's getting clogged by like at least 2 or 3 Houston Rockets defenders. Why doesn't he call a timeout? How come nobody called a timeout in those last 11 seconds? We had an opportunity to do it at the 11-second mark and an opportunity to do it right around the 6-second mark. And instead, Clay turns and takes the ugliest shot ever, because he's got defenders all around him.
Well, I don't think he had any passing lanes in that moment. And then in the second one that you're referring to, that one, Draymond was actually trying to call timeout as they were inbounding the ball, but the refs didn't see him and didn't make the call, because that would have been ideal. You inbound the ball, you take a timeout, then you can advance the ball up to half court, and then you can inbound the ball and get set in your play. And the announcers were talking about that too. So unfortunately, according to Steve Kerr in the post-game press conference, he says that Draymond was actually trying to do exactly that, but the refs didn't see it and didn't call it. So, which is to me a little questionable, not necessarily on Kerr or Draymond's side of the thing, but as for the refs, because Draymond's, is a pretty loud dude. So I think it'd be pretty hard to hear him. So, but then again, I wasn't there, so I don't know what the tumult was, coming from the crowd. So I don't know how big. I know, it's Oracle is nicknamed Roracle for a reason, so it could have been a factor. I just don't know for sure. Either way, they couldn't get the call. I think it was a factor in them they couldn't get set.
That to me, in that final 11 seconds, was the number one reason we lost that game, or at least didn't tie it and go into overtime. No timeout was called from the 11-second mark to the 0-second. Apparently, you said Draymond tried and no one saw him. I didn't see that.
Even trying the threes on two possessions back from that, I think that what they should have done, because there was enough time on the clock, go for the quick two, then get back into transition defense and get a stop. Because I know there's sometimes the live and die by the three model. I don't necessarily think that they need to do that every single time they're in that kind of in a crunch time situation like that, because that was a situation where they had enough time that you're going to get a second possession. Go for the quick two. Go for the quick two because there's enough time to get another possession. Get the two, get the stop. Then on your next shot, you have the lead, versus giving them the foul, them making the free throw, and then forcing a 3-point shot. Now it has to be a 3-point shot. So, I mean, there's so many little things in that final stretch that, obviously when you lose the game, this is exactly what you talk about. You talk about all the things that went wrong and how you could have rectified them or done them differently. But there's lots of little things that go leading up to the first 6 minutes of that quarter, when the backup unit just couldn't hold the lead. There was a lot of defensive breakdowns, giving wide open looks. I mean, they're lucky. They're lucky it was just a one possession game. I mean, if Harden was not in choke mode, it could have been a lot more embarrassing. But this one stings a little bit differently from a blowout, because they had enough opportunities to put these guys away, including the 12-0 run in the very beginning of the game. They were sloppy on a lot of those transitions. They got turnovers handed to them, and they could only come away with 12 points in the first few minutes of the game, where the Rockets couldn't buy a bucket. And you could have easily gone up 24-0. But that was another opportunity where there was just some bad passing, bad communication. So I just feel like the Warriors just weren't sharp. And there's another thing too, the absence of Andre Iguodala, who defensively synchronizes so well with Draymond Green, that we were just missing that extra little edge of defense that would have made the difference in the score as well, in my opinion. So his absence was felt tonight as Looney got into early foul trouble. Jordan Bell had more mishaps than defensive moments, and and he's young, he'll get better. So I'm not.
His rookie stripes started showing.
I agree, and he had that one emphatic block, which was great, but other than that, I saw him get exposed more often than not, and that's unfortunate, because Iguodala's absence forces Kerr to use other people in the lineup who are not as reliable as Iguodala. And he's got a knee contusion, which is just a fancy way of saying he's got a bruise on his knee. So, and then the location that he got hit, where he bumped knees with James Harden, was obviously a well-placed bruise, so it makes movement in the joint awkward, which is why he couldn't perform tonight. So it's unfortunate. And Clay fell on his knee earlier. It didn't seem to affect him too much, but again, would like to see more out of him. He's been absent the last few games, so he needs to really get going the way he did in the first two series, stringing up back-to-back, strong offensive performances. He had good shots here and there, but again, he was a lot of hit and miss. So just need to see him going. If all three guys just need to just throw down at this point. From here on out, we need to throw down, because if one missing component's gone, then the slack needs to be picked up. And needs to be picked up more so than usual, because this is a team that can match the Warriors offensively, although not to the same potency. I mean, I think statistically they're pretty comparable teams, but in terms of consistency, the Warriors have the proven pedigree and experience, and obviously have 2 rings because they're able to perform it at a more consistent level, at the highest level. So they They just need to do that again. It's not going to be easy going into Houston, but Houston can throw up stinkers too. So, and they throw up stinkers more often than not against this particular team. So they need to get back to that. It was frustrating. So, but Andre Iguodala's absence was certainly felt, and that there was a missing edge to the defense because he wasn't in the lineup. And hopefully he gets back into the lineup starting next or Thursday night.
So while I agree with that, here's the issue. I'm like, we have 4 other All-Stars. I mean, how many freaking guys does it take? I mean, the Warriors are more than capable of defeating these guys without Andre Iguodala. And we had the game. We lost 2 different leads and then regained the lead and then lost it again. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm just like, we have 4 All-Stars. Okay, so we have 4 instead of 5. Come on, Warriors. They're better than that. I understand that they got exposed, but I think this really falls more on the shoulders of Clay, KD, Dre, and Steph than it does on Iguodala. And the other thing, there wasn't as much ball movement. We've been playing a little bit to the, we've been kind of adapting and playing a little bit more like Houston. Like we've been real ISO heavy, and I'm just not sure if that's fully sustainable over the entire series in terms of for us winning this series. What do you think about that?
I don't like those possessions. Those usually always go to Kevin Durant, and while he's more often makes those shots than not, I feel like we have a higher percent chance of actually getting the score by just playing the ball that we do play, which is movement, switching, lots of off-ball movement. That's the Warriors' game. It's not playing Houston's ISO match game. That's what gets them into trouble when they play against us, because it plays right into our defense. So doing that, I think, gives them a little bit of an edge, even though defensively they're not as sound as we are. However, playing iso ball against them allows them to just transition so easily into offense when we miss those shots. Just like we expose them when they miss those iso shots, we do the exact same thing. So I don't think I'd like to see a little bit less of that. I know that there's obviously a little bit less of that when the second units come into the rotation, because for some reason they do a lot more passing. And part of that is because there's less offensive firepower in those units, so they have to rely more on off-ball movement to get better looks, to have a higher percentage chance of making the bucket. So it makes a little bit more sense why those units do it more often than our starting units, because our starting units have the best shooters in the association. So you can take more chances like that. However, I think I'd still like to see a little bit more movement. You want to wear the Rockets out. We gas them out, then it's a shoo-in win, because there's nothing they can do about that.
Frustrating. So game five is Saturday? Yes?
No, it's I think Thursday.
So we're back in Houston for game 5, and then we're back in Golden State for game 6. And yes, game 5 is on Thursday. That's right. I was thinking game 6. Yeah, game 6 is on Thursday. And that's at Houston. We have to steal this sucker out if we want to finish in Oracle, which we've already proven that we can do. We took game 1, no problem. But this is a must win. Whoever goes up 3-2, I'm going to say this. I'm going to get real hot takey on it. Whoever wins this game coming up is going to take the series.
There's a good chance at that.
That's what I believe. And I believe the Warriors are going to take it. Yeah. And I believe the Warriors will take it. Oh, God, the stress of being a fan. Western Conference Finals. It's been a great series. I'm really curious to see what happens with Boston. They're still undefeated at home. So if they take this game, I also think the next winner, their series is tied 2-2. I think whoever wins the next game between Boston and Cleveland in Boston will win that series. But these conference finals have definitely lived up to the hype. This is what everyone wanted to see, except Golden State fans. Golden State fans wanted us to just breeze through this, wipe this team off the court, and then go destroy whatever jack-off team is left in the Eastern Conference. But unfortunately, we got a series on our hands. Here we go. Any final thoughts, Ray, before we let them know where they can find you? Any final thoughts?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. They just need to win the goddamn game. Let's keep it simple.
2 in a row. Just 2 in a row. Close it out. Be done with this team. All right, Ray, why don't you let them know? Where can they find us?
You can find me on twitter.com at Ray Solis. So you can also follow me on Instagram at Ray Solis1.
Boom. You can find me on Instagram at Rudy Solis 3 and Twitter at Rudy Solis 3RD. So concludes another edition of the Gold Cast. We are the voice of the faithful. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
Ugh. Fuck. We'll see you next time. Same Goldcast time. Same Gold.
This is the Gold Cast.